Hello, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. So we have Tyler here tonight. She's going to be answering questions in the chat. Thanks for joining us, Tyler. And then also, I'm kind of talking to myself here on these webinars, so please be active in the chat, raise your hands, put questions in the Q&A. I'm going to go straight there afterwards. And I'm excited to hear from you all and also get your feedback. So much of this I feel like I do on my own. And so I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for coming. You guys are the pioneers. Please introduce yourselves to each other. I'll share a little bit tonight about just like the magic of community. And so much of that starts here at these free webinars where we invite everyone to join us and learn a little bit about the Bredesen approach, the Marama approach. Hopefully take some really exciting, great, actionable things home with you and get a benefit out of this protocol tonight, today. And then part of the journey is meeting each other, having these other resources, having these other people, the support that you need to implement. So like, I know that Alzheimer's is optional. I have seen this over and over and over and over. I've seen miracles happen in my clinic at Marama. And now with the coaching groups that I'm doing, I'm getting to see people do it from the comfort of their own homes, even from places as far away as Spain and Australia and all over the world. And that support that you need to implement is not just me, not just somebody who's, doing it at Marama and doing it in the clinic, but I'm not doing it at home. I don't have someone that I care for, but the groups do. And the people who are here joining this webinar tonight, you are all pioneers. You are either professionals who are doing this and looking to maybe even teach other professionals how to get the most out of the Bredesen protocol. You are those who are caring for your loved ones who are suffering with dementia. And I've heard over and over what it's like to go into a neurologist's office and be told there's nothing you can do. People are still told that today, and it makes me crazy. Part of my work tonight is to convince you that there's hope. And although it can feel overwhelming how much you can do for dementia, there's so much you can do to reverse dementia. And so I want to share with you, some of those pieces, and we're going to focus on the ketogenic diet tonight, because it's what I've seen help the most people the fastest. And it's where we get the most questions. It can be confusing. So that's what we're going to jump into tonight. But again, introduce yourselves. Let us know you're here. Let us know who you are, kind of what your role is. If you're caring for someone with dementia at home, if you are the spouse or an adult child of someone who has dementia, if you're worried that you're going to get dementia because maybe you already lost a parent to it, or even if you are a professional who's looking to learn more as like a health coach or as a nurse. We get lots of amazing nurses who obviously went into that profession to help, and they're here looking for more knowledge, more tips. So let's get into it. A little bit about me. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I think most of you know me probably from the summit, potentially, maybe not. People are coming from all over these days. Just so you know, we're doing another summit this year, 2023, the third Reverse Alzheimer's Summit. It's going to be June 13th to 19th. So you should be on the email list. If you are, sign up for it. It's completely free. And it's 40, I think I actually have 50 interviews now. I have a bunch to do this week and next week. That'll be in June, and there's 50 experts, and Dr. Bredesen is also interviewing people. So we're getting the latest and greatest of information from lots of really, really brilliant people about a lot of the details of how to prevent and reverse Alzheimer's. So stay tuned for that. I wanted to share a quick story from my clinical practice recently. Patrice is a patient here, and she came in with her son. And she had severe dementia. Many of you are probably familiar with the Marama Score. This is a Montreal cognitive assessment, and it's out of 30. So 30 is perfect. It's a one-page worksheet that you can do with usually a doctor or somebody in the doctor's office will help you do a MOCA. Other things that people do is a mini mental status or a slums exam. And these are worksheets we fill out so that we can put a number on someone's cognition. So Patrice came in and she had a 6 out of 30. Normal is over 26. And she had just 6 points that she was able to get. These are from naming zoo animals and saying what day of the week it is, doing a little bit of subtraction, drawing a clock. And she had only 6 points. Fast forward to 10 months later, It was incredible. Her son was taking care of her. He is who helps her. And she was at a 13. She more than doubled her mocha in 10 months. And her son said to me, it's like I have my mom back. He shared this story of her getting out the carrot peeler in her kitchen. She wasn't cooking at all. And of course, this is her son telling me this. And he remembers his mom cooking as he was growing up. She's Filipino. And so she would always cook this amazing Filipino food. And he said that she didn't know how to even navigate her kitchen. And after these 13 months, she had pulled a carrot peeler out of the drawer, used it to peel a carrot, washed it, cut up the carrot, put it into some meal. And these are those moments, like when he saw that she was capable of doing that after these months and months of her decline, that she had this very tangible thing that she was able to do on her own independently in the kitchen. Now, you'll notice I said a carrot. She was not even in ketosis. I'm going to talk about ketosis tonight, but carrots don't get us into ketosis. But she was, even without doing every single thing on the protocol, you can get better. And that's what Patrice taught me. And my patients teach me over and over and over again, is that when we can give them the support that they really need, they shine, they get so much better. People get their loved ones back. And our patients, my patients, our loved ones, they maintain their dignity. They maintain that ability to be independent, to peel their own carrot and to put their own utensils in the dishwasher, to find them in their kitchen. Like, these things are so important to us maintaining that independence, that ability to care for ourselves, let alone be able to use the bathroom independently, get ourselves dressed, and those kinds of things. With a mocha of 6, we would have expected Patrice to be completely dependent within a year on other people to care for her. And instead of going in that direction, she went the other way. And she regained independence. Now, she still needs help. She's not going back to work, but can you imagine where she might be in another year? She might have even more ability to cook for herself, clean her house, and live independently. And this is so exciting. And why we're here tonight is to share with you guys what you can do to put these pieces into practice, right? How did Patrice get this incredible result? How did her son support her so that she could get better? Well, I certainly encourage them to get into ketosis. And that's part of what's exciting about this story, is that she's at a mocha of 13. She's already gone from a 6 to a 13, more than doubled that mocha score. And she hasn't even gotten into ketosis. The primary thing they did for her was get her sleeping. They got her on a sleep apnea machine and got her the sleep support she needed. She got on hormones and a lot of supplements, and her diet did improve tremendously. So she eats many, many more vegetables than she used to. So even though she's not hitting ketosis, she's doing better. So I hope Patrice and her son are listening tonight, because here we go. We're going to talk about ketosis. So a day in the life at Marama. Part of what we'll chat about tonight is the Marama at Home Plus program, which is coaching. It's group coaching, which is so much fun. I just had a coaching call with the group who's doing it right now. We are on our 11th of 12 weeks, and it's just so inspiring. It's so much fun. Join us just for me, because I get so much out of these calls. I love them. I'm just blown away by the love and commitment and engagement, and just how incredible the people who join those coaching courses. So what we're trying to do with those courses is allow you to get the benefits of Marama, the full maximum benefits of the Bredesen protocol, from the comfort of your home. So I've told some people this, I kind of hesitate to share it, but my goal is to put places like Marama out of business. Nobody wants to go to memory care. No one wants to leave their home. No one wants to leave their families. Everyone wants to be down the street from their grandchildren. You want to be around your friends and your family and what's comfortable and familiar to you. No one wants to go to an institution. And so I'm pleading with you to do this all from home, so that you never need a place like Marama. I get it. There's some people that just are going to, right? And that's why we have it. And I would love for more people to create Marama in their own homes. So this is a day in the life of Marama. So take your phones out if you want, and take a picture of this. There's going to be a few of those where I really want you to be able to easily reference this. And this is the type of day that I would love for you to be able to create for your loved one or for yourself. I mean, this is the type of day that I want to live. Let's be real. So getting up and having, of course, before breakfast, there's brushing your teeth. Oral hygiene is really important to brain health. Maybe you're taking your medications. And then there's breakfast, an organic ketogenic diet. We're going to jump into that. So you can see the breakfast and snack, dinner, and herbal tea, they're all in orange. And we're going to talk about some ideas and why it's so important that those meals are organic and ketogenic tonight for brain health and healing. Okay, and then on here as well, just so you can see, the Marama has, I think of it as having 4 pillars. And this is what we want you to be able to create in the comfort of your own home. The 4 pillars are that organic ketogenic diet that we're talking about tonight, the activities, the brain stimulating activities, that's exercise as well as engagement. We've been brainstorming a lot about this lately. Things like flower arranging or building a birdhouse or tinkering with tools. There are so crossword puzzles, Sudoku, writing letters to friends and family around the world or across the country or just down the street. Looking through photo albums, there's so many things that we can do that stimulate our brain, keep us engaged. Of course, the music and meditation or other things. So we're going to talk about activities next week. So join us for that for sure. We're going to go much deeper into that. But today we're talking about everything that's in bright orange. These are the snacks, breakfast, lunch, and dinner that we're going to have to get us into ketosis to get this maximum benefit. When I talk to Dr. Bredesen, he's so wonderful. I love him because he's always like, Heather, who's not getting better? Who has the worst genetics? Let's talk about them. Because he is convinced, as am I, that if somebody's not getting better, we're missing something. And the first question he always asks when somebody isn't getting better, when another doctor who he's trained comes to him and says, hey, I'm struggling with this patient, what's their ketone level? Are they in ketosis? And I have seen this over and over again as well. If you can get that ketone level up, you get a bigger difference in that MoCA score. So your cognition, the higher that ketone level, the more of a change we get in that cognition. Okay, so what's ketosis? Does everybody know what ketosis is? Raise your hand, let me know, put something in the chat if you are dying to know what ketosis is, or tell me, no, give us a thumbs up if you already know what ketosis means. I want to know who already gets it and who needs some extra help. So let's talk about basics. And for those of you who already know, like jump in there. And if there's clarifying questions, please support your fellow webinar attendees tonight and tell us what you know about ketosis. Sometimes it's confusing for people and I don't always know what the questions are that are going to come up, but there's lots of them. So what are we doing? Getting into ketosis is changing your metabolism. What does that mean? It means instead of burning sugar for fuel, which the vast majority of us do every day for our entire lives, we are going to burn fat for fuel. And when we ask our bodies to switch what they burn for fuel, we can often get an increase in the amount of energy we burn, and we burn that fuel cleaner. So it creates less oxidative stress and we get more ATP, or that fuel that our cells run on, we get more of that per unit. And so when we talk about ketosis, what we mean is that the currency we're using, we can talk about this like fuel, like gasoline that we put in our cars, or like money that we use to pay for things, that what we are burning is called ketones. And this is when we're in ketosis. The majority of the time we're burning sugar for fuel. Right? And we want to switch to burning ketones. So this is amazing. The human body absolutely blows my mind, right? Because a car, you can't put diesel in a gasoline car. This, I guess it's kind of like a hybrid. We're kind of like hybrids. We can switch back and forth between burning sugar for fuel or burning fat for fuel. And we want to switch to burning fat for fuel. So like an electric car or like a hybrid car can switch back and forth from burning electricity to burning gas. We are doing that. So we have this flexibility in our metabolism when we go into ketosis. Generally, we're born with that flexibility. We just never use it. So our ancestors, if you can imagine thinking back 100,000 years to our ancestors, they didn't always have sugar available, right? They couldn't stop at 7-Eleven or a drive-through. They didn't have grocery stores. They had to hunt for their food. They were hunting and gathering. There wasn't always abundant amounts of sugar available. the way that there are now. So our bodies were able to go back and forth between these two fuel sources and burn both of them. As we age, we're not as good at burning sugar for fuel. We become more insulin resistant. That sugar doesn't turn into fuel as easily for several reasons, because the insulin doesn't get it into the cells. And even when it gets into the cell, it doesn't turn into energy as efficiently. And so magically, like, this just blows my mind again, like, we can just switch the fuel. We can switch to burning fats. Now, the trick is we have to restrict the carbohydrates. So mild ketosis is 0.5 to 0.9. So what is this? What are we measuring? Where do these numbers come from? The Keto Mojo. So if you have questions left over, if you're really interested in this, we have a keto diet guide. This is on the Solsari website, and Tyler is going to try to put it in the chat. If you can't get it from the chat in PDF form, then just go to the website at solsari.com. Enter your email address and you'll get the keto diet guide. And this will explain a lot more than I can even go through tonight. But on page 6, there's a description of all the things that you can use. And one of them, I know this is really small, it's the Keto Mojo. And Tyler's going to put that in the chat right now too. The Keto Mojo is my favorite way to measure both blood glucose levels, blood sugar levels, and blood ketone levels. And if you use the Keto Mojo and those strips, then if you look for a keto level of either 0.5 to 0.9, that's mild ketosis, you're still winning. And then really target optimal ketosis is 1.0 to 4.0. That's how you know if you're in ketosis. So many people ask me, can I eat this? Can I eat that? It depends. Everybody's a little bit different. And in this keto diet guide, we have a list of foods that you can eat, our category 1 foods. You can absolutely eat those category 1 foods most of the time. Everybody's a little different. So with the caveat, test your ketones. That's the only way to know for sure that you're getting there. So what are we doing? We're burning fat or ketones, not sugar. And that's because it's easier for our brain to make energy when we are burning fat, not sugar, especially as we age. We focus in our diet, we focus on fats and proteins and lots of veggies, and we restrict the carbohydrates. If you're a carb counter, I'm not. I tend to try to stay away from the numbers, and I like to get things from the store that don't even have numbers on them, right? They don't even have a nutrition label because they're not in a package. They're just they're in the meat section, or they're in the produce section. But if you are counting carbohydrates and you're curious, you can go to the back nutrition label and look at those carbohydrates and restrict that typically to 30 grams of carbohydrates per day. There are some very lucky people that can get those carbs up to 50 grams and stay in ketosis, but I can't do that. I think I can be right around 35 grams of carbohydrates. And there's lots of details in this. And of course, I get into ketosis pretty regularly. So I share my personal story with it. Is really fun. What happens for me when I restore my metabolic balance and I'm in ketosis is I'm basically up and out of bed with tons of energy around 5 a.m. I'm not in ketosis right now. And this morning I struggled to get out of bed at 6:30, right? So I get another hour and a half in my day and I feel sharper, clearer. My mood is more balanced. My sleep is better. I measure my sleep with an Oura ring. My sleep improves. And all of those benefits I just get from restricting carbs, eating tons of veggies, and getting into ketosis. Okay, so what's required when we think about getting into ketosis? We need to rethink what healthy means, because many of us remember that food pyramid from the federal government that told us we were supposed to eat lots and lots of carbs and not that many fats. We got to throw that out. That is why there's an epidemic of obesity, diabetes, and Alzheimer's, is because we ate way too many carbohydrates and not enough fats and not enough veggies. We want to keep those processed sugars out and have very few carbohydrates in this diet. Now, we're not asking you to be in ketosis forever. So that's a misnomer. Sometimes people are thinking, oh my gosh, I have to give up seasonal fruit for the rest of my life. No. We're just going to get into ketosis for if you're struggling with cognitive decline for 3 to 6 months. And of course, talk to a provider if you're concerned, if you have any concerns. Sometimes with kidney issues, this can be, you want to talk to a provider. If you've had your gallbladder removed, you might want to talk to your provider. None of these, if you have high cholesterol, You may want to work with a health coach, especially. We can optimize and individualize this diet so you get the most out of it. Some people are plant-based. Maybe you want to stay plant-based and get into ketosis. It's pretty challenging. So you want to work with somebody who's really an expert. But we want to make sure that we reclassify fats as healthy. Now, not all fats, but particularly our avocado oil, our avocados themselves, olive oil, even dairy like butter and ghee. These are really good for us. Now, I'm not suggesting you drink gallons of milk, but getting lots of good, healthy fats from our diet so that we have the substrate, we have those building blocks that we need to burn fat for fuel, ketones as ketones. We want to be able to give up processed foods. So a lot of times those convenience foods, that's what's so high in carbohydrates, right? Those things we grab from the middle aisles of the stores. We want to start walking around the edges of the grocery store, the produce section, maybe the butcher, and then leave those middle aisles to the people that eat carbohydrates that are not trying to get into ketosis. That's not for you. And then we want to be open to cooking in a whole new way. This is almost, I think of this as an activity. It's like bicep curls for your brain to think about cooking, to have these new recipes, to maybe go to a new store even, but to make these new recipes, learn how to do them. Maybe you're like even getting out the food processor again, learning to use that, chopping the mandolin. There's so many fun kitchen toys that you can use, and doing all of those things that are new in the kitchen. That is exactly the type of activity that helps us engage the brain, keep it sharp, make it sharper, and also helps our people who we love who are struggling with dementia, helps them maintain their independence when they can cook for themselves, when they can feed themselves, right? And this, if we're looking to prevent that decline, this is one of those critical things. So some people ask me, well, shouldn't I be doing Sudoku or luminosity? Get into ketosis, because that is both a brain game and extremely healthy for you, especially when we're emphasizing those veggies. This requires a commitment to the process. There's ups and downs. My mom struggles to get into ketosis, and she shakes her head at me and, says mean things sometimes when I'm trying to get her there. But it just takes a commitment to the process, and eventually everyone will get there. And if you're struggling working with us, as Tyler's here, she's a phenomenal coach. She's been through this with lots of people. We go through this in a group setting. We have individual support that we can offer. So sometimes getting that extra support to get up over that hump is really important, but just commit to the process. Everyone can get there. We are designed to burn fats for fuel. We just don't do it very often because we have such an abundance of sugar around us. Yeah, and just like giving up processed foods, sometimes we need to be willing to give up those convenience foods, right? The things that we typically grab and go, those often are high in carbohydrates. Now, what's really fun about our timing here in 2023 is that there's more and more convenience foods available that are on the ketogenic diet. Now, be careful, because going into Costco, lots of things say keto all over them, and they've got 17 grams of carbohydrates. And if you have those all day long and you have a big bowl of keto cereal that has 17 grams of carbs and you've just had a serving and a half, you're not going to get there regardless of how big it says keto on the package. So be careful, work with a provider or a coach or somebody if you need some extra support. There are ways to do this. And sometimes it's a little confusing about what's on the diet and what's not. And it's really confusing because what's on the diet for you might not be what's on the diet for your husband. We had this coaching call today, and one of the couples was explaining, this is so classic. My husband's in ketosis. He's at a ketone level of 1.9, and we all do a dance and celebrate for him. She's like, I'm eating the exact same things and I'm gaining weight, which I don't need to gain. He's losing weight, which he doesn't need to lose. And my ketone levels won't budge over 0.5, and I'm eating the exact same thing. Very classic. And so we have to do a little bit of fine tuning, maybe increase intermittent fasting, maybe increase the fats, maybe increase exercise. We've got to play with things a little bit. And so being committed to the process of figuring all of that out and learning about our bodies is really, really helpful. What you don't need to bring with you onto this journey of ketosis is hunger and deprivation. There's this small window. For me, it's about 24 hours when I get into ketosis where I feel deprived of sugar. And it's probably because the yeast in my system is craving it, or my addiction is craving that sugar. When I got into ketosis about a year ago, it was the first time after having my baby. It had been about 3 or 4 years since I'd been in ketosis. And I thought about donuts nonstop for about 24 hours. And it was, I probably haven't had a donut in 15 years, but I could not stop thinking about donuts. And that might happen to you too. You might think about donuts, you might think about sandwiches, you might think about other carbs. It's totally normal. And it's not you. It's like the critters in your body or an addiction that doesn't serve you that is craving those donuts. So you don't have to feel hungry. Once you're in ketosis, actually many people have to remind themselves to eat because their cravings are not there anymore, and they feel very satiated. So do not equate the ketogenic diet with a diet that is about hunger and deprivation. In fact, for most people, I don't even want them restricting calories. I want to add calories. One of the quick, easy tricks that I give people who are worried about weight loss is to add heavy cream to their coffee. So pile on those calories, extra fat, extra protein, wherever you can to keep that weight on. And then when we do the ketogenic diet, when we get into ketosis in conjunction with the rest of the Bredesen protocol, which includes exercise and sometimes hormone replacement, we actually see a reduction in frailty. So people are stronger and steadier. You do not need to rely on shakes and bars and meal replacements. Healthy, whole foods that are simple and relatively easy to make are what we have and I recommend the Ketotarian cookbook. Tyler, if you would throw that in the chat, that would be great. Will Cole's book, The Ketotarian Cookbook. It's full of very plant-forward, super healthy ketogenic options. And things don't need to be perfect. Again, we're committing to the process. There's going to be days you get it right and days you get it wrong. I found out the hard way that I can eat about a handful of blueberries, a little bit less, maybe 5 or 6 blueberries, and stay in ketosis. But if I have the same amount of raspberries, I'm out of ketosis. And I'm not attached to it being perfect. It was just a learning opportunity about how my body metabolizes the different things I eat. And so imagining that this is a journey and an adventure, and then I invite you to join our coaching groups because that makes it an adventure that you can enjoy with other people on the path with you. You don't have to go to fancy, exotic ingredients. It doesn't have to be expensive. Many people don't go to new stores, but you can. It's an invitation to learn a new store. But this can be relatively simple, very tasty, and totally doable. So this is, again, okay, take your phones out, take a picture of this because I'm not going to go through all of it, but I want to give you a sense of what it would be like to be at Marama and what the menu looks like. And this is over 12 days or so. So you might see on there keto granola. I don't even know if that's up there, but that's definitely a favorite. And we put in hemp seeds and chia seeds and nothing that's there's no oats, there's nothing that's going to raise your blood sugar, but it feels like you're getting cereal. So, and then also zoodles, zucchini noodles, that makes it feel like you're getting pasta, but you're not raising your blood sugar. It's amazing. There's so many things that we can substitute, especially as you're transitioning into the ketogenic diet. So this gives you a few, hopefully inspires you with a few ideas, and we'll have more of that. Fat bombs. So if you are familiar with the ketogenic diet and you have ever made fat bombs, this is a great way to get those sugar cravings, to if you need something quick and on the go. These are also really safe to make. So I make these with my 4-year-old at home because I let her make a mess of the kitchen. What I love about it is it's very safe. There's no knives involved, and you don't have to heat up an oven. You don't have to heat anything. And so you can make these fat bombs with your loved one very easily. You can get them involved and do it together. So there's a question that comes up, and sorry, there's a typo on this. It's 1/3 of a cup of powdered keto sweetener. I use the monk fruit. This is something you can get at Costco. It's great to get at Costco. They have it in large bags. So the monk fruit sweetener is the one I get, and it's 1/3 of a cup. So sorry about that. Again, take a quick picture of this because I'm not going to go through it in detail, but I want you to be able to make these fat bombs. And then please share with us on Facebook, Instagram, we have a private Facebook group. Please share your fat bomb recipes because we love these. And they're just so easy. I have mine. I always have some in the freezer. Whenever we eat the last one, we make another batch, my daughter and I have it in a big mason jar. So it's stored in glass, and then they're easy to just pick out and grab one whenever there's a hankering for something like this. Something sweet. Okay, this is another great slide to take your phone out and take a picture of this, some snack ideas. There are so many delicious things that we can eat on the ketogenic diet. I love going over to Marama and letting them know I'm coming because there's always a plate for me and it's so delicious. It's so, so good. Cauliflower pizza bites, deviled eggs. Eggs are a phenomenal source of protein and fat and choline and so good for the brain. So, incorporating eggs, of course, into breakfast, but we can even do it into sauces and other things later in the day. Green juices and green smoothies, being careful with smoothies, because if we're adding things like orange juice and lots of fruit, that's going to kick us out of ketosis very, very quickly. I'm not saying that fruit isn't healthy. Fruit is very healthy. Starchy veggies are healthy, but they do not allow us to get into ketosis. So we need to temporarily take those out of our diet with the goal of getting into ketosis to heal our brain. So those ketones are like super fuel for the brain, and they help our brain to heal. There's a bunch of mechanisms. On the summit, listen to Dr. Gundry's talk. He and I had a chat a couple weeks ago, and he blew my mind with the mechanisms of how ketosis causes this uncoupling in the mitochondria and allows us to generate more energy. There's a bunch of different proposed mechanisms for why ketosis is so healing for the brain. It is, and I highly encourage you to get there. And I hope that we have inspired you and given you some really great ideas about how to incorporate this. Some of it requires some meal planning. There are more keto meal delivery options coming around. And if you're doing this at home, which most people are, you want to choose recipes and allocate the time to make them. Sometimes this means meal prep on a Sunday before your week gets started. It means different things for different people, but create that shopping list. Get to the store, plan around that, create time for it. What other supplies do you need? As I've gotten into these keto recipes, I realized, I need a zester because there's lemon zest on everything to make it flavorful and more satisfying. Do you need a food processor? Do you need what are these things that come up? I have a stainless steel air fryer that also is a toaster oven. I use that thing almost every day. I cook with cast iron and stainless. So if you need these tools, get them ready and prep ahead. And then enjoy the process. Again, this is bicep curls for your brain to learn to cook in a new way, to introduce your brain to new flavors. These are things that are particularly helpful for maintaining independence as you face this potential of dementia. And then don't forget to enjoy. Food is such a phenomenal way to connect with other people and to appreciate and get pleasure from life. So Richard was a patient who came into my office, and he and his daughter also were participating in the coaching program. And he was struggling with dementia, of course, and his daughter was doing everything she could. He moved into her house, and she had noticed that while he was moving into her house, in that process, he couldn't remember the names of farm animals. He couldn't remember a cow was a cow and a horse was a horse. He also stopped being able to call his grandchildren by their names because he was forgetting their names. And he got into ketosis and it all came back. His story was a little bit sad because, they celebrated, of course, when he started naming farm animals. They live in a rural area, so they would pass them frequently on the side of the road, and he could identify them again, and he was saying his grandchildren's names. Well, he has a lot of kids, and not all of them felt like this was the best protocol for him. And they were really sad that he wasn't able to eat ice cream and pizza and drink beer with them. And so when one of the siblings came into town, that's what they did. They went out and had pizza and ice cream and beer, and he stopped remembering the names of the farm animals, and he stopped remembering the names of his grandkids. And that sibling realized how important it was for him to be in ketosis. Now, he got a lot of it back, but it's hard when we're kind of going up and down and up and down. It's really stressful for the body. So we don't want to fall off the wagon. When we get out of ketosis, we want to add those seasonal fruits, add those starchy veggies, and not go towards like pizza and alcohol and ice cream. That is really hard on the system. So his story really illustrated to me just how impactful this ketogenic diet is. It was so crystal clear when we had this ability to compare when he was in ketosis versus when he wasn't. So I highly recommend getting in it, staying in it for 3 to 6 months. It's a very powerful diet. Chris is another patient I've had here at the clinic. She did great at home. She transformed her lifestyle, got into ketosis, started sleeping better. And you can see these are her MOCA scores. So I described to you a perfect score is 30. A 0 is nonverbal. And we've helped some people with very severe Alzheimer's with the MOCA of 0, but they are not going back to work. Now, Chris was at work and she was staying at work. She had been considering retirement. She was really struggling at work. She works as a nurse, and she was struggling to keep up with the electronic health record, anything new. She just couldn't get it. Everything was taking her more time. And within 12 months, her MOCA went from a 22 to a 30. And she did this, you can see we also measured her EEG markers. And so at baseline, her voltage, the amount of energy that her brain was producing, right? This is the energy that we get from being in ketosis or being in glycolysis. So this was before she was in ketosis. At baseline, we can see her voltage level was around 7.5. And by the time we were getting her into ketosis and we were getting her extra supplements and she was doing more exercise and she was getting better sleep, that voltage, that energy her brain was able to make to retrieve those names, to figure out how to use that computer system, to have the energy to get out of bed and to get the exercise, her voltage had gone up to over 13. So we can measure this. The other thing that we measured was her reaction time. And unlike voltage you want to see go up, MOCA scores you want to see go up, reaction times, you want to be quicker. This is like how fast you run the race. The blue line is the physical reaction time. So what we do is we put this cap on heads and on our patients' heads, and we measure when they have an auditory signal, they have a high-pitched beep, they have to hit a button on the mouse. That's the physical reaction time, is how long it takes for the brain to tell the finger to move and for the finger to move. And you can see she got faster and faster and faster. This orange line is how long it took for her brain to register that high-pitched sound. And you can see she got a little bit slower at first. I'm not sure what was going on there, but overall, after 6 months, she was faster, not only with her cognitive quickness, right? This is that ability to correct if you step on the curb the wrong way so that you don't fall. It's that ability to grab the wall. It's that ability to turn the car out of the way if somebody's coming at you. Right? It's all of these things that keep us from falling or from getting hurt, but also it's that ability to stay with it as your friends are having a conversation with you. Like how after that auditory signal, how quickly do you process it? This is a lot about processing speed. And so we see this over and over and over again. We can measure the change in cognition, and we can see that the brain has more energy and more ability to respond to the environment when we get into ketosis and do all of the pieces of this Bredesen approach. So I wanted to share with you something again that happened today. I just put this slide in here because it was just so moving and so inspiring and so incredible. So I know you can't see all the details. If you want to again, get out your phones, get out a magnifying glass. I know this is kind of a terrible slide. Somebody would hit me on the wrist for this, but I just couldn't help but share Joe's story because he inspired everyone in the course. We've got 25 people in each of these coaching courses. And so it's a small, intimate group. And he just, he was moving us to tears. The way he's cared for his wife is just incredible. So from what we did in the course and from Dr. Bredesen's work, he is just doubling down and committing to all of the pieces. So I know it's hard to see, but they have their morning ritual routine where they have tea or coffee and they do their meditation, and then they go out and get exercise. And on Mondays, they go to a group workshop. It's a music therapy workshop. And on Tuesdays, they see a doctor. They see their doctor regularly. And sometimes they go to acupuncture, sometimes they go to the doctor, sometimes they go to PT, or they're doing different things as needed. And then they take care of hydration and nutrition and supplements. And he's got these check boxes, and he's able to just move through his routine to optimize every moment of the day for his wife to get her the benefits of the Bredesen protocol. And he also, not only was he doing this for his wife, but he was willing to share with the whole group and with you. I asked him if I could share this with you. And we're going to have this access to this in the private Facebook group, where you can take this and you can modify it for your loved one or for your life so that you can stay organized and stay on track and be getting the benefits of this protocol. Because the hardest part about it, I see the vast majority of people get better, even when they have significant cognitive decline, significant measurable cognitive decline. The vast majority of people can get better. What keeps it from happening is an inability to implement. And sometimes it's just overwhelm. Sometimes it's just not knowing where to start and what to prioritize. And I hope that today I've convinced you to just start with the ketogenic diet. But there's other pieces that you can do. There's kind of two, when I'm deciding on priorities with someone, there's two things I ask. One, what are you already doing? And can we up the ante on that? If you're already going to church on Sunday, can we add a prayer practice the rest of the days of the week, and maybe even Bible study on Wednesday? So that you're getting that connection spiritually, you're getting that stress relief, and then maybe you're getting that social connection too. If that's the easiest thing to implement, let's start there. But sometimes it's where the biggest change can occur. So if somebody is having a standard American diet, they already have diabetes, getting into ketosis is probably going to make the biggest change, but it might be the hardest change. And those are the two things we start with. What's easy? What's hard, but going to give us the most impact. So if you're having trouble prioritizing, these are the kinds of things that we talk through in the coaching course. And Joe, he really did this phenomenal job of, he was all in. And so it was about organizing. And as you maybe can tell from his Excel spreadsheet, he's an engineer. And so he was really phenomenal and inspiring in terms of organizing this, setting it all up. And then he's given us this template that anybody can use to optimize for themselves and for their family. So what we're talking about today, we have a couple options. One is this Marama at Home 11-module caregiver training course. And there's a money back guarantee on anything that we're offering. What we're here to do is give you support. I see it over and over again. This protocol works. It just has to be implemented. And so I want to give you, and I also hear from my patients, I get it. I get the concept. I get what Dr. Bredesen's saying. Just tell me what to do. Tell me how to do it. And there's a few nuances to that. Like what is the easiest thing for you to do? Where do we start? Where do we get you some leverage so that you have more energy, you have more willpower, you have more ability to implement as much of this as possible? So you can start with the 11-module training course. This is really helpful for a lot of people. The book, Dr. Bredesen's books are really helpful for a lot of people. If you need more support than that, which a lot of people do, we're doing these live coaching sessions. And so these are starting in May. And again, there's a money back guarantee because I want everybody to make sure that this feels like the right fit for them. If for 30 days, no matter what, no questions asked, if you want your money back, you've got it. We are going to be starting this in May. And so far, what so many people have told me was that this is a huge, huge, huge help. We're going to have another summit hit soon, and we're expecting we have about 80,000 people that follow me right now. We're expecting about another 80,000. So jump into these courses if you want them. Again, we're sending this out to the entire list. We had over 1,200 people sign up for the call to, we had over 2,000 people sign up for the call tonight. So they'll be watching the recordings, and we've had over 200 people show up. So jump in. There's no risk to you. I just want you to secure your spot because we will sell out. So these live coaching sessions happen with me. We had one today. They're so much fun. People share how much they get out of them every time. And then the Facebook group is also available for you. And we throw things like Joe's spreadsheet in there. recipes, people share recipes, questions. So many people say, the question that I didn't know I had was answered in this call or on the Facebook group. And often, I know for me, like I'll think of things that I want to ask Dr. Bredesen or one of my other mentors in the middle of the night, and I'm not going to call them. And I even am kind of embarrassed to email them at that time. But having like the Facebook group where you can go to other people who are in the community, who are in alignment with you, right? Like I mentioned with Richard's family, all of the siblings were not aligned. And sometimes that's so much of the effort, is not having anyone around you who sees the world the same way, who has the same hope, who's also experienced some of the benefits, who sees that this is possible. If everyone around you is telling you it's not possible, it's really hard to stay motivated and positive. And this creates that group of people who are doing this with you. So that private Facebook group is open to you. And then Tyler, what we're doing tonight, I'm going on a trip. I'm going to Bhutan to meditate. Meditation is a big part of my life and my spiritual practice. So I'm leaving for Bhutan on April 7th, and I will be back at the end of April. So in the meantime, because we want to get everyone as much support as possible, Tyler, who is our coach here, who's wonderful, who's on the call supporting us, and she joins us for all of our coaching calls. She is doing we're just throwing that in for free. She is doing a one-on-one call coaching for you only if you purchase before April 9th. And then you can schedule with her right away. She's happy to support you. We're really excited to have her supporting people in a more tangible way. And so you can get started. You'll have access to the online course immediately as soon as you sign up. And then you will also have access to Tyler immediately to get your questions answered, to figure out those priorities, and to hit the ground running when we start the coaching course in May. And then you get a one-on-one call with me. I love these because I get to learn about you and what's going on specifically for you, what inspired you to join the course, and make sure that you're getting the maximum value out of it. There's a lot of things that we can fine tune. We can help you find a great provider. If you need to do more lab workup, we can just get you the support you need to fully implement this protocol at home. And you get to join this priceless community. It's amazing. There will be accountability partners and soulmates and meetup partners. And you're in this community, again, who's dedicated to serving their loved ones with Alzheimer's the same way that you are. And that is just, it's absolutely priceless. So if you are interested in like putting all of these things, this is the science of what works for brain health. If you are interested in putting all of these things to work, getting the benefits of community, then this could be the course for you. So the Reverse Alzheimer's at Home course, the Marama at Home Plus course is the Marama at Home course, plus the coaching with me, plus the private Facebook group, plus the one-on-one call with me, plus the kickoff call with Tyler. This is a huge, huge, huge value, over $8,000 in value. And I would say many people say it's priceless because of the difference it makes in the transformation of their lives. And we are offering this right now for only $24.97. And that additional call with Tyler is only available if you purchase between now and April 9th. And remember, you have your 30-day money-back guarantee. I don't want you to feel any risk whatsoever. I want you to be sure that this is the program for you and the program for your loved ones. So you just jump in today, lock this in, make sure you get the benefits of this. And just so you know, the feedback that we're getting, this has been a blessing already. I got through the crisis mode, and now we're moving into restoring autonomy and finding balance in our relationship and routine at home. Having the summit plus Marama at Home plus the coaching has given us the resources to know what steps to take next and put the knowledge to work at home. This is what I hope, and this is what Shelley shared with us. The program is brilliant. It's already started helping me get more organized and to prioritize. My days are already feeling different. And this is after just a couple weeks in the coaching program. We're both doing the meditation daily now, and it's working. I feel so much better. That was from a different Richard. I love this. I think I shared Peter's quote with you already, but we hear this from a lot of people. I love the questions from other people in the coaching calls. I get answers to questions I didn't even realize I had. There's so much to learn from each other. We've sold out 3 of these groups. So we've had over 75 people do this, and they have just raved about how much they got from the course. So if Sharon was just sharing with me last week, I've enjoyed our sessions tremendously. I've learned so much that's so practical and that I can implement in my day-to-day. Thank you for offering it. This has been on my mind for years. I'm a nurse and focused on older adults in my capstone paper. I love learning about the brain and love being with older adults. And I have 3 children, and I've been focused on them. So something about this is so important to me. It's bigger than just caring for my mom alone. This is a humanitarian issue. I love that I'm learning more, using the data to drive what we do so we aren't in the dark and guessing. I love focusing on what will actually get us results, and I'm already seeing them with my mom. These are the kinds of quotes that we hear from people who have joined the course. And Sharon, she wants to help other people. She's a nurse. We have a lot of nurses join us, a lot of health coaches join us, and they want to get the maximum benefit so that they're able to help other people and have this ripple effect, which makes me so excited. I shared with you, Richard, I was at a funeral not that long ago. It was really, really tragic and awful. A friend of mine's husband passed away in a car accident, and his brother was sharing this really moving eulogy. And he said something that really struck me. He said, if I could do anything to get one more text message from my brother, I would do that. I would do anything. And this is that anything. The Bredesen protocol is that anything that you can do to get one more anniversary, one more birthday, one more summer, more of those memories with your loved one before it's to prevent them from losing their minds, their dignity, their memories, that connection to you, to have them fully present. And I was just so struck by that. Like, I would give anything. This anything isn't even all that much, right? What we're asking you to give is just the effort it takes to live a healthier lifestyle, to exercise more, to prioritize sleep, to get on a ketogenic diet. It is totally accessible. We can do this. And you don't even have to sell your soul, right? We're saying, eat organic, eat good food, spend more time together, spend time engaged. These are the things that it takes to get that extra time with your loved one. If you are like Lisa, she went through the struggle with her dad. She cared for him, and he passed away not that long ago. She watched her mom and dad struggle to take care of the grandmother before her dad. And she just doesn't want her children to have to go through that for her. And so she's fully committed to preventing this. So if you're like Lisa, sign up for this class. We have lots of people who are preventing, and it's really fun to just see how engaged, how many great ideas there are. Everyone shares what they're learning with each other, and I benefit because I learn from everyone in the group who's doing the research. Lisa is ApoE34, so she's got that clear genetic risk, and she just doesn't want her children to have that burden of taking care of her the way that she had to for her dad. Nora, I've shared this story before. It really affected me. Nora wrote to me that she enrolled in the course because she wants to see her grandson, Tyler, graduate from college. Tyler, her grandson, had cancer as a baby, and she didn't know if he would be able to go to college after all that he went through. They didn't even know if he was going to make it at some points in time. And Nora had moved in with her daughter to help care for him while they were going through this trauma of having a child with cancer. And now he's a freshman at Oregon State University. He might be actually a sophomore now. It's been a while since she told me the story. He's studying science and forestry, and he loves nature and being outside. And she wants to see him pursue his dreams and become a functional adult. And she wants to cheer him on and be fully present when he walks across that graduation stage. And I remember sharing with Nora when she told me this, that I feel confident that she'll be able to be there, not only to see him walk across that stage when he graduates, but I want for her to see him have children, to have a family of his own, and for her to be fully present and know her great grandchildren. And I think that is, and that's another 5 or 10 years out after his graduation. I believe that that's totally possible for her because she's in the very early stages of dementia. So When you purchase the course, what you'll get immediately is, or immediately, maybe it might take us a minute or two. I think we'd actually do this manually, but very soon you will get the login credentials. You'll be able to set up a password and log into the Marama at Home class, and you will get that Marama at Home caregiver training. Once you're inside, you'll have access to that immediately. And then we'll have coaching and Q&A on Zoom for 12 weeks. So you can unmute yourself, ask all the questions you want. I am there for you. You'll also schedule a one-on-one call with me. Tyler helps you with that. And then you ask questions in the Facebook group, ask questions by email. We solicit those each week, and then also in the group sessions. All right, so I'm going to switch after saying thank you for your care and dedication and perseverance and commitment and your love and attention to the people that you care for, and for fighting this awful, awful disease. I'm so grateful that you are on this path with me. Let's get started healing together. Please join me on this journey. And I'm going to switch now to the questions and answer as many of those as possible. Okay, let me find them. There they are. Okay, thanks for putting them in the Q&A. I'm wondering why the term Alzheimer's is used so often instead of dementia. Valerie, this is a phenomenal question. So there's a book called How Not to Study a Disease by a gentleman named Carl Harroup. And it describes this entire kind of it's called How Not to Study a Disease because it's the story of what went wrong. So essentially, there have been 3 elevations, is what he called them, where it's been a marketing stunt, not a scientific one. So for one reason or another, somebody wanted to raise money for the National Institutes of Aging. That was a political thing that they lobbied Congress. It was a marketing stunt, not a scientific one. Originally, Alzheimer himself, it was he was the doctor who diagnosed someone, he diagnosed Auguste D'Auguste back in 1906, and his mentor was selling textbooks, and that's what they called it, Alzheimer's, and he put it in the textbook when he shouldn't have. And then again in 2011, there were these elevations that made Alzheimer's the word that puts the fear of God in people. And really the correct word is dementia. If you ask an older doctor, I have a mentor who's in his 80s, and he was like, I thought it was called senile dementia, not Alzheimer's. That's correct. It is. It's dementia. And dementia is the umbrella term. I usually say dementia. Alzheimer's refers to this beta amyloid plaque formation in the brain most typically, and this connection between dementia and beta amyloid plaques. But it's kind of nonsense because there's a reason for the beta amyloid plaques. And that's really what the Bredesen protocol is doing. And you can have beta amyloid plaques and not have dementia, not have Alzheimer's. You can also have dementia, not be able to remember, and not have beta amyloid plaques. So they don't equate to each other exactly. It's a lot messier than that. But sometimes you'll hear, Valerie, what you'll hear is people use Alzheimer's and dementia interchangeably. I thought the ketogenic diet was a very unhealthy diet. I understand insulin resistance and that the ketogenic diet can provide another pathway for supplying energy to the brain. Is this true only in patients who have dementia already, or is it useful in people who do not have dementia? What is the effect of the ketogenic diet on patients with cardiovascular disease? Phenomenal question. This is really, 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 really a very well-informed question. So the ketogenic diet is unhealthy and bad for your heart if what you eat is bacon and eggs and cheese, and that's it. That's not the type of ketogenic diet that we're suggesting, and not the type of ketogenic diet in this keto diet guide. This is a very vegetable-heavy, vegetable-forward diet based on whole foods and organic as much as possible. And so when you're eating those good, healthy fats and using, getting into ketosis, using those even exogenous ketones, when you're getting lots and lots of veggies, this is actually a very healthy diet. And again, we don't want you to stay in ketosis forever. But I use this diet as a dementia and diabetes prevention. We use the ketogenic diet was actually designed for people originally who had epilepsy. So it helps the brain in many, many ways to heal. It's also very helpful for stabilizing mood. And now it's used to treat type 2 diabetes. And with cardiovascular disease, for some people, you want to avoid saturated fats, particularly if you have positive ApoE status. So if you're ApoE 3.4 or 4.4, those are somewhat common. And you want to avoid coconut, so any type of saturated fat, And anyone who's eating meat, who's introducing more meat to get into ketosis, you want to make sure it's grass-fed. It's really good, high quality. Have less of it, but higher quality. And then same thing with butter. Get your grass-fed butters, get the good, high quality animal proteins, and then you don't have that increased risk in cardiovascular disease. You actually see after about 6 months or so, your lipid levels come down. The most dangerous thing for cardiovascular disease is the combination of bad fats and sugar. So one of the issues that people run into with the ketogenic diet is that they don't restrict their carbs enough, but they're adding a bunch of fats. If you have a milkshake, this can immediately turn into vascular spasms. So that combination, this is a classic standard American diet, right? High fat and high sugar, a hamburger and a milkshake and French fries. This is exactly what you want to avoid. That is the worst diet for cognitive health. And it makes me so sad because so many of the senior living facilities, they have like soft serves on demand. They have high fructose corn syrup. And they have the worst meat and just a disaster for cardiovascular health. If you do the ketogenic diet right, it is not going to increase cardiovascular risk. It actually will reduce it. And in combination with more exercise and hormone replacement, this is an anti-aging diet. So I recommend that the vast majority of my patients, the ketogenic diet is anti-inflammatory. It is a weight loss diet. So that is a side effect that we have to worry about, especially as people age. But again, add the exercise, add the hormones, and you will put on more muscle mass and reduce frailty. But it's anti-aging, anti-inflammatory. It is detoxifying, and it's weight loss. And of course, you get that extra energy. Like personally, the reason I love going into ketosis, I get extra energy, I get that mental clarity, and my mood stabilizes and my sleep improves. And I can measure it. What can go wrong while doing the ketogenic diet, and how do you prevent it? The best way to prevent anything from going wrong with the ketogenic diet is to work with a professional, work with a health coach, work with a dietitian, work with a doctor, and then take a look at this keto diet guide, because I don't have time to go into all of it, but there's a whole page 5, which is the troubleshooting page. So things like constipation and fatigue and the keto flu and some muscle cramping. And there's things that we can do for all of those. Now, if you have, if you have no gallbladder, if you've had a cholecystectomy, or if you have kidney issues, then you really want to be working with a provider to optimize it. If you are opposed to eating meat, if you're vegetarian or vegan, then you really want to work with somebody to make sure that you don't run into the pitfalls of not getting enough B12 or restricting too much. I have the keto diet. Good. Thank you. You're welcome. I know you have some dairy in the keto adaptation foods in category 1. I thought Dr. Bredesen doesn't recommend dairy. Again, a phenomenal question. We actually discussed this today in our coaching group, is this dairy conundrum, right? So for some people, dairy is inflammatory. And so first of all, in Dr. Bredesen's book, in The End of Alzheimer's, that he published in 2017, we didn't realize how important ketosis was at that point. And so he was talking about a diet that was extremely healthy, but pretty restrictive. If you were going to get into ketosis and not have much animal protein, including dairy, it's going to be very, very restrictive and hard to get something that's satisfying. And so my opinion is that you're not going to be in ketosis forever, and you can go back and forth between plant-based and keto. And so when you're plant-based, don't do dairy, don't do meat. But when you're in ketosis, I want you to have enough variety that it's satisfying and it's pleasurable to eat, and you're not feeling super, super restricted. And so cheese, especially goat and sheep cheese, and maybe kefir, these things are a really great way to get that fat and protein and satisfaction out of what you're eating. Now, if you're lactose intolerant, don't add dairy. I have an egg allergy. So when I'm in ketosis, I don't eat eggs. Eggs are a perfect food as long as you don't have an allergy to them, right? So for you, you want to individualize it. I would not make a blanket statement that all dairy is inflammatory and bad. That's not how I feel. That's not what I see in my patients. It's not what I experience personally. For me, my daughter has a dairy allergy. I don't give it to her, right? I wouldn't, but she's in a particular spot where I can tell that she has a reaction. I have a reaction to eggs. So clearly, if you're having a reaction to something, don't eat it. I'm not suggesting that you add it to your diet, but I want to give you as much variety as possible. Being resilient to foods, being able to tolerate foods, that is a sign of health. Restricting more and more and more and more, that is not the direction we want to be going in. We do want to restrict carbs because we want that metabolic flexibility and that brain healing benefit of being in ketosis. Not forever, for 3 to 6 months if we have cognitive decline. And for me, I go into ketosis for about a month, maybe 2-3 times a year. That's what I do for myself and what I think is most beneficial. I'm not struggling with cognitive decline and I don't have genetic risk, but I still think it's the best thing for me to do for my brain, for my energy levels, and for health. Are there any health conditions that have to be careful on a keto diet? Diabetes, Hashimoto's, high cholesterol. Okay, so Lisa, phenomenal question. For diabetes, ketogenic diet, that is the protocol. For Hashimoto's, autoimmune paleo, Isabella Wentz's work, I really like that. And she talks about a detox diet and also about stress and gut healing. The ketogenic diet can be very gut healing to get the carbs out because it's basically a candida diet. High cholesterol, talk to a provider, but generally, if you actually get into ketosis, you're burning fat for fuel, your cholesterol comes down, your triglycerides come way down. My husband from Maryland, my husband has been on the keto diet for 4 months and has lost too much weight. How do I transition to a diet with more calories? Great question. So what I would do is add heavy cream. And it sounds like because he needs to add calories and he needs to add weight, you might want to talk to a provider about adding testosterone if that's safe for him, or even just getting a little bit of hormonal support so he can put on more muscle. Make sure he's getting exercise if possible. And then add your starchy veggies like your squashes, maybe some sweet potato, and then seasonal fruit. This might be, what have I been seeing at the store lately? Some of the citrus and the apples are still around here in San Diego, but also the berries, I don't even know where those are coming from, but avocado, lots of avocado, and whatever the seasonal fruits are that are around. Is the keto diet high in oxalates? Another great question. So what I see is often as people go into a healthier diet direction, they add a ton of spinach and a ton of almonds and a ton of chia seeds. Those have very high levels of oxalates. So if you're concerned about oxalates, and the calcium oxalate crystals can cause kidney stones, oxalates can kind of create muscle and joint soreness. So you can just cut out the almond and the spinach and the chia seeds, and that will do it. Or you really limit them, right? So you get coconut milks, and because what I see some people do is they have a smoothie and it's like got almond milk and almond butter and spinach, and then they have a spinach salad and they have almonds for a snack, and then they have a cooked spinach for dinner. And they're putting chia seeds and everything and on everything. And that's all of a sudden you have a ton of oxalates because those have like orders of a magnitude more oxalates than other things. But if you're having chard and kale and you're having macadamia nuts and other nuts, then usually it's not too many oxalates. The other thing that you can do with oxalates is add lemon juice and some potassium. I'm 46 and feel my memory is getting bad. I have episodes when I have minutes like total blank before remembering what we did the day before, and I didn't used to experience this. Can keto help? Yes, keto can absolutely help. I highly recommend it. How long should I do keto for? You may just need to do it for like 2 or 3 weeks and maybe notice the difference. There might also be something else going on. So I recommend working with a provider. And is it okay and still open if I'm hoping to get pregnant? So you don't want to be on the ketogenic diet if you're pregnant. That's an absolute contraindication. If you're pregnant, and I don't think I've been pregnant, there's no way I could have been keto. All I craved was carbs. I ate like macaroni and cheese, which I couldn't even dream of doing now. But when I was pregnant, that's all I could eat without vomiting. So no ketosis if you're pregnant. But you can certainly be on ketosis and be trying to get pregnant. But carb restriction, you need carbs to build a baby. So you don't want to restrict any of the macros when you're actually pregnant. But it might be one of those things to get into ketosis, do a little detox, kind of reset your metabolism. It might make it easier to get pregnant. Is it still helpful to reduce carbs a lot but not hit ketosis? Yeah, I find that a lot of patients benefit from that, just from carb reduction, and particularly processed foods. So highly processed foods are a recipe for dementia. They're a recipe for diabetes. They're a recipe for heart disease. Avoid as much that comes in a package as possible. Avoid processed foods as much as you can, and then increase those veggies, especially the green stuff. Green beans are in the category 2 foods, but they're legumes. but fiber, green stuff, leafy greens, chard, spinach, kale. I know we just talked about spinach, but you can still eat some spinach. Don't be afraid of spinach. But chard, arugula, all those leafy greens that are so tasty. I love mustard greens. So that'll make me salivate right now talking about it. Artichokes, those are, people are really intimidated by artichokes, but I just put them in an Instant Pot for 25 minutes, pressure cook that thing with like a little steamer basket and some water beneath it, and then dip it in garlic and butter or olive oil and butter. So delicious. My 4-year-old like eats that all day long. So, so good. So yes, you can absolutely reduce carbs, increase veggies, and get tons of benefit. Yes, yes, yes. Just go in that direction. And then when you're ready, come back and we'll get you all the way into ketosis because it feels so good. Paige says, when I say I use monk fruit, do you really mean straight monk fruit or the erythritol mixed with some monk fruit? It's the one they have at Costco. And I should probably take a look at that because erythritol is not particularly good for you. What if you have high cholesterol? Still get into ketosis. This is how many people can reduce their cholesterol getting into ketosis. What about keto constipation? Yeah. Keto diet guide, mag citrate often works for people. If that's not working, then mag oxide can be helpful. So does keto help your mitochondria? Yes, absolutely. Keto helps the mitochondria make more ATP, more energy. What diet to switch to after 6 months? So typically I recommend switching to a Paleo-Mediterranean diet or a Whole30 diet. So still having a lot of veggies, still plenty of fats, but you're just adding those seasonal fruits and starchy veggies. And that allows you to open up your diet without falling off the wagon and having like cake and ice cream every day. Where can you get the Keto Mojo strips and meter? We usually get them just on Amazon. They're available, or you can get them straight from Keto Mojo. The Keto Mojo website has a ton of phenomenal information. Lots of frequently asked questions, lots of really great recipes and information about how to test and when to test, and tons of support. So we're here to support you, but that website is full of great information. How long and how often do I recommend being in ketosis? From Margot. It really depends on you, right? So for me, I'm 40 and I don't want to get dementia. I don't have extra risk for dementia. I don't have diabetes risk. I stay relatively healthy and active and eat relatively well. Probably better than most because I went to naturopathic school. And so I get into ketosis for about a month, 3 times a year. This is my work. And I see it and I read the literature and I see the benefits for other people and I want them to, and I also feel the benefits. So you can do too much. Like I wouldn't want anybody to stay in ketosis forever. And for people who have dementia, I recommend that they're in ketosis more often than they're not. It's not, the trouble is not usually staying in ketosis. The trouble is not usually getting into glycolysis and burning sugar for fuel. That's easy. That's going to happen. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall off the wagon. There's going to be a birthday or a wedding or something. And so you're going to fall out. The trouble is getting back into it. So that's where there's a lift. It's basically just a mental lift of restricting the carbs again and going through that process. So this is a really great question. Plant-based diets have been reported by some Alzheimer's doctors to produce the same benefits you've seen, but without the risk to the kidneys. Can you address that, please? Huge blood sugar and diabetes benefits as well. So yeah, there are the Sharon and some other doctors. Dean Ornish is doing one of these. I think diets where it's really low salt, high veggie. I think it's just what I've done and what I've seen. And I don't think that there's one right diet for everybody. There's the kidneys. So the kidney risk, yeah, absolutely. I would recommend going in that direction if you can't handle protein, right? So people who have kidney issues, the ketogenic diet is not hard on the kidneys. You just need to restrict your protein if you have kidney disease. So it's not like there's no risk to the kidneys. But just like if you have kidney disease, you don't want to drink too much water, right? Like water isn't risky, but you don't want to add more stress to the kidneys. And sometimes increasing your protein can do that. So for sure, I would recommend somebody go to a plant-based diet and do a really vegetable forward diet. But I think fat and salt restriction, I think, has huge amounts of risk. And so I am not a proponent of like the Mind diet. It still has a bunch of processed carbs in it. It totally restricts salt and fat, which I don't think is a good idea. I don't think that that's the healthiest thing for most people. So there's a conflict there. What I do recommend is that people go back and forth between the ketogenic diet and then like a Whole30 diet or a paleo Mediterranean diet that's very, very low in processed foods. And I don't think that salt restriction or fat restriction is a good idea. I'm not of that opinion. What if somebody's on a strict ketogenic diet for months and supplements and they don't seem to get better and the MOCA score is 0? And I will never, ever, ever tell someone there's no hope, because I have seen patients with a MOCA score of 0 get a little bit better, become verbal again. And yet I would never promise that to anyone. This is a really good question and like a heartbreaking question. This disease is so awful. And what I don't know the answer to, and some people say, I don't feel firm in my understanding of it. I don't think anyone is there hope for somebody who's that far gone? Is there hope of regeneration? And I have to think there is, because I've seen people get way better, even when the MOCA score is 0. Are they going to get all the way better? I haven't seen that yet. But I also am not willing to give up hope, because I've seen things that I was told was impossible. So I don't know what to tell you. You're doing the diet and the supplements. Dr. Bredesen will say, we're probably missing something. Are there toxins? Are there infections? Is there something in the environment? Is there some other type of engagement that we could do? Don't give up hope, and also don't become a martyr to it yourself. Caregivers are at 2.5 to 6 times the risk of developing Alzheimer's later on themselves. And so at some point, you don't want to drown with them. So if it becomes too stressful, if it becomes too expensive, if it's too much, then at some point you have to let go of the process, not of the person. I would never say there isn't hope. I've just been proven wrong too many times already. And I've only been doing this since 2017. So don't give up hope. And you're doing an amazing job. You are the inspiration. Thank you for being here and for doing what you're doing for the person you're caring for. Do I think that brainwave entrainment is important to improve cognitive health? I've never used neurofeedback. I think that's what you're talking about. I've never used it. We haven't had to. We get really good results. Could we get better results with neurofeedback? Probably. I have seen a lot of people spend a lot of time and money doing neurofeedback and not get any benefit. And so I haven't been particularly inspired to double down on that and look for it. But red light therapy, I think we have seen people get benefit from, and it's very low risk and it's relatively low cost. So that's usually the direction that I point people in. Gail has a question. Can you please speak to how a ketogenic diet for dementia works if DNA results indicate you should eat high protein, but low fat and carbs? I would talk to a provider, because there's, DNA, it's your potential. It's not what's actually happening. And so you want to hold that somewhat loosely. And maybe talk to the person that ran your DNA results. Dr. Sharon Houseman-Cohen, she works with Dr. Bredesen pretty closely, and she is deep in that DNA space and also deep in the Bredesen space. So she would be the one that I would run that by. I understood you had to follow the ketogenic diet for life. Nope. I hope we cleared that up tonight. I have seen the 100% plant-based and zero oil diets have reversed diabetes in a week or less. So I feel like it's misleading for you to imply a ketogenic diet is best for diabetes and blood sugar. There's not one right diet for everyone. The ketogenic diet is very, very, very good for diabetes and blood sugar. That is absolutely not misleading. There is very good science that supports what I said. And there's probably also very good science that supports a plant-based zero oil diet also does the same thing, a similar thing. They're not mutually exclusive. It is not an either or. There is no one right diet for everyone. What I have seen over and over is that the best diet for dementia, I believe, is a ketogenic diet. Now, someone might prove me wrong. As I get more data, as I get new data, I am open to reconsidering. Can you clarify hormone replacement? I wasn't aware that that is part of a keto procedure. You're absolutely right, Anna. The hormone replacement is not part of the ketogenic diet. However, it is a good complement and it is part of the Bredesen protocol. So it's a bigger part of the Bredesen protocol. The ketogenic diet, I was going through the 4 pillars and I realized I only talked about 2 of them. I'm so sorry. So what we do at Marama is the ketogenic diet, the environment, the activities, and then that optimal caregiving, where there are people supporting you to get all your supplements in and do all of the activities. So those are the core foundational pieces, the pillars that we offer at Marama. And then the Bredesen protocol is even bigger. That has to do with looking at the lab, looking for toxins, looking for infections, and diving into that individual in a very precision medicine-based way. So there's a lot to this, but the keto, what I was hoping to do tonight is get you inspiration, that there's hope, and then also give you some of those insights specifically about ketosis, because I've seen that is a place that's easy for everyone, for most people to do from home. I get that there's pushback. Not everybody wants to do it. Lots of people have heard that it's unhealthy. Doesn't have to be. It can be very, very, very beneficial and can get people a lot of bang for very little buck. So that is why I wanted to talk about a lot of this. And then what if I need to gain weight? If you need to gain weight, add calories, not carbs. Lots and lots of calories. Heavy cream is a great way to do that. Do we take into account menopause, perimenopause, which can feel like dementia? Thank you, Charlotte. Yes, absolutely, we do. Anna Quebeca, a colleague of mine, she's actually a DO out of Texas, and I interviewed her last year on the summit. She has a book about a ketogenic diet for menopause and how beneficial it is for menopause. Definitely getting those carbs out can be really, really helpful for hormone regulation. So how did these coaching seminars differ from Dr. Bredesen and the Apollo Health Coaching Program? That's a great question, Gloria. I don't know exactly. I know Dr. Bredesen has trained coaches, and I think they offer different things. So it really depends on the coach that you're working with. So they may have group sessions or they may have one-on-one sessions. I'm not exactly sure. But you'd have to kind of look, and I think the different coaches, they offer different things. The Apollo program, the subscription is for the AI platform, and it gets you behind the paywall to get you a ton of information, but there's not coaching included in that at this point. I feel alternatives for eggs and many of the breakfast recipes. Charlotte, I can relate to you. I have an egg allergy. I cannot eat eggs at all. It is a disaster for me. So I just skip breakfast. I have my tea with some collagen powder and some keto powder in it, and a little bit of the keto creamer that basically just cools it off and makes it even tastier and full of more fat. And that's my breakfast. And so I skip the eggs, and then sometimes I'll do some smoked salmon, or I'll do an avocado. There's lots of different ways to do that, and lots of alternatives to eggs. All right, I am going to wrap up because I need to go get some dinner myself. Thank you so much to all of you who are still here, stuck with us for an hour, more than an hour of this. I hope that this was really beneficial and that you got a lot out of it. We'd love your feedback. We want to know how to get you as much value out of these webinars, and to also get you the information that you need to implement at home so you can be getting the maximum amount of benefit from the Bredesen protocol, and hopefully never need a place like Marama. And we hope we see you in the coaching classes. Don't forget that if you purchase one of those before April 9th, you get a one-on-one coaching call right away with Tyler, who is phenomenal. Thanks, Tyler, for all your help tonight, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.